Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's live stream. We are live here doing question time. This is a live stream where you can ask me any question you like regarding game dev, Unreal Engine, whatever it is you want to ask. It's totally up to you. All you got to do is put your question into chat, and I'll try and grab as many questions as I can within the hour that we're here. So first of all, I want to say hello and thank you to everyone who's joined me live. Hello, Mr. Flip, Awesome Bro, Keebs, Lottie. Yep, daylight savings is going to confuse a lot of people. If you don't know, daylight savings happens in America, in different parts, even in America, at different times than the UK. So for me now, it's 9 p.m. still. But yeah, so this next couple of weeks are going to be a bit weird. If in doubt, just hit the notification bell on YouTube and you'll be alerted for when we go live. But by all means, we are here and we're taking your questions. So yep, start filling chat into your questions. And we can start answering a few. Let's jump in and answer a couple that already come through. Keebs, hello. I would like to create a small solar system that the player can travel through. In the solar system, I want to land on planets and explore them similar to Astroneer. How would I do this? Not entirely certain. I'm guessing you want it to be seamless. So the trick to seamlessness is procedural generation. Not easily is the answer to that one. It's procedural generation. So when you're in the space, it's procedurally generating the space around you. I haven't played. Have I played Astroneer? I don't know if I have or not. But I'm guessing if it's like No Man's Sky type thing, it's procedural when you're in space, and when you get close to planets, they become generated. And yeah, you go into them, and then it procedurally generates again based on the seed. As for the procedural generation part, that is tough. You're going to want to be hard coding that in C++, not really doing it in Blueprints. It's going to be quite taxing to do. But if you look at different models, like additive and subtractive models of procedural generation, you can see some examples of it being done. Like for example, Minecraft is additive and subtractive, so it does all the land and it subtracts spaces for the cave systems, and then it adds on spaces like the villages and temples and things like that on top of it. Yeah. Does the UK have a daylight savings? Like this is totally going to be now earlier or later someday. Yeah, we do. It's our one starts at the end of March, so it's always going to be 9 p.m. UTC. But for Brits, it'll be will it always be 9 p.m. UTC? I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Just keep an eye on YouTube and see whether things come into it. We'll see. It probably will change to British Standard Time just because of where I am and what it takes. But yeah, absolute nightmare. There's 2 times a year where it all goes to hell, and this is one of them. Can you please show how to blend a matte material into a glossy one? Awesome Bro, do you mean like the same face blending, or it goes from one side to the other? I can show both methods, but let me know if I'm thinking along the wrong lines. So I'm gonna put a plane on here, okay? So the matte and glossy comes from the specular and roughness. So especially the roughness. So if I done like a linear gradient and put that into the U channel for roughness, that should go between glossy and matte from one side to the other. See? If you want it to fade between one and the other, so it becomes glossy, is glossy then becomes matte or something, or vice versa, then you can use a lerp between 0 and 1, so you can leave A and B alone and just put alpha in as a scalar value. So you put in here matte and put that in alpha and then put it into roughness. And so with 0 matte it's fully glossy, and then when you animate the matte number to go up 1, it becomes matte. If that helps you understand what we're talking about there, Awesome Bro. Let me know if I've misunderstood the question. Hopefully that helps you out. Oh, probably. Sorry. Metsish. In a top-down camera game, how can I make the floors and walls fade out to not cover the player? Yeah, so you've got a few things you can try and do. For example, you could make every material in your level use a material parameter collection to fade it in and out. That is one thing you could. No, you couldn't. I don't know. We'll try something else. Oh, probably. Okay, so let's put a dummy wall in, for example. Put that in there. And we'll put that like that. Okay, but I'm going to make this wall not block the camera, because if we go in third person and I put the camera behind the wall, it stops the camera. So to demonstrate this, I'm just going to make the wall not do that. So I'm going to go to collection presets, custom, and I'm going to ignore the camera trace. So it should now be on the scene. So if you want the thing to fade away, you can use a post-process sort of thing. I imagine you could. So if we do a material, PP fade, we'll call it. And as I said, it'd be a post-process material. So you've got to change this to post-process. And in here, you need to have the scene color. Like so. Which just gives you the general scene as it is. But this will look exactly the same. Oh, hold on. Oh, yeah, I've got to change that to, oops. Not scene color, scene texture. What we're doing. Scene texture. There you go. And change that to post-process input 0. There you go. Makes it look exactly the same. Okay, so we'll put that into our scene. I think there's already a post-process volume. Isn't it this one? Yeah. Post-process materials, add, choose, asset reference, PP, fade. Okay, so we've got that on there. But I want it to only do certain things. So you don't want to do it to every floor, wall, every object. You want to do it to certain things. So in particular, like this one, we could do this. And all we do is we're going to make it render in a custom depth. So if I find the rendering options for this. And in the rendering options, you'll find... where is it? Render custom depth pass. Tick that. And basically what it does, it renders that object onto a different layer than the rest of the game being rendered. So at the moment you're not going to see any difference whatsoever, but because it's on a different layer, we can do things to that layer. So if I go in here, for example, and on the post-process input 0, I could do alert and put that in there and that in there. Okay, and B will be we want the scene custom depth in there. No, what do we want? We want bum, 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 bum. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? What do we want to do? No, the problem is, it's even though it's custom depth, it's still. Let me double check. If I go into Buffalo visualization here and go to scene depth, do I get a blank space? No, it's still rendering scene depth as well. Custom depth is there. So we can't do it that way. You may have to go the long route and make all your objects use opacity in their thing, because the problem is the renderer needs to be able to render through it. So it has to be set to a masked or translucent material. So I think you'll have to do something like that. Because I can't cut that out of there without... I need to be able to render behind it. But I can't. what if I use as occluder turned off? And then could I use that? Where am I going? See that? Yeah, it's still vendors it. Yeah, see, need to have that rendering. There you go, rendering depth pass, turn it off. Okay, so if I turn off rendering depth pass, no, rendering main pass, I guess what I could do is flip those around actually. I've got another idea. So rather than using post-process, let's try that. What if we can do that? On my player character. Ooh. We can then do on tick, for example. We're going to do multi-line trace by channel. And I want this to be... We'll do visibility for now. Start point be actor location, camera location, sorry. Okay, I can't think tonight. I'm so tired. Get player camera manager. Then we're going to get the actor location of that. And put that into the start. And the end point will be our actor location. Okay, so it's basically drawing a line between the camera and the player. And for each one of these, we're going to tell them to break that open. Hit component, we want to... see, this is going to be a... Oh, no, that's fine. Render in main pass, we turn it off. And render in depth. Set render in depth pass off as well. This is not going to work, but we'll see what happens here. Okay, so the camera's hit the floor. See, it's hit that. So I need to make it so it keeps track of what it's seeing and what it's not seeing. Okay, so this method could work, but there's no fade. It's going to just turn off and on. And we'll need to make it so it keeps a record of what things it's made, not seen, and has seen. See, the camera's hitting the floor. That's why it's doing that first. Yeah, does that. You just turn it off for a second. Yeah. It's something we could do. It's just a bit annoying, that's all. And a bit inefficient. Because this is quite expensive for doing this much. Okay, so right, let's do a timer then. set timer by event. Create event. Create matching event. Viz trace, we'll call it. And we'll do that on loop every 0.5 seconds. Okay, so not all the time, but still quick enough. And we'll get rid of the tick. So on viz trace, we're going to do multi-line trace by channel. It's going to return visibility hits. And we want to store each of these hits into an array. So faded components. Do that. Component, and that'd be a primitive component type. Should have typed in primitive. There you go. And we'll make that an array. And keep track of what ones we've got visible and not visible. So add unique. And I'm going to add this one. Okay. And then what we can do is just wipe it every time it does this. I say it's not the best method, but it's a method. The more efficient one would be to do like an actual material, but then you have to go through every material, adding this feature onto it. Or not. Oh, I need when I wipe it. Hang on. Clear that. Oh, hold on. Before we clear it, we need to. Oh shoot! Hang on. We do 4 each in there. It shouldn't be a big array, so it shouldn't be too bad. And we basically want to do the inverse of these two. So take that. Turn it on. Turn it on. On completed, we clear it, and off we go. Oops. So I'll run through that process again, but this should do it. It's not the most efficient, but it works. Yeah, you can kind of do it. But yeah, the real method would be going into materials, I think, and messing about with the material to do that. But essentially what we're doing here is every half a second, we take our faded components array, we clear them and make them so they can be rendered again. And then when it's completed doing that, we'll go through another trace and add them to the array again and make them not visible. I just had a little thought. If I just do the depth pass, I'm trying to think of another way we can actually just fade it. Let me just try this actually. Hang on. Let me just take that off. There you go. I'm going to try one thing before we move on to the next question. So I'm going to go to this one. Because when in depth pass has to be turned on. So if I turn off main pass, then turn off depth pass, so that's like this, and turn on main pass again, depth pass has remained off, but it's grayed out. So whether that affects it or not, I don't know. But if I go into lit and look at the visualization of the scene depth, nah, it's still picking it up. No, right, screw it. We'll just move on to the next question. Okay, next question. Are you working on any big project right now? Mimic's quite a big project. I do streams of that development. Well, I've got another one this Saturday, so. Lab 1B. I'm working on an endless runner game, and whenever I hit a corner and swipe left or right to take a turn, the character no longer switches from lane to lane. It always goes back to the location of the corner. How can I fix this? Endless runner game. Whenever I hit a corner and swipe left or right to take a turn, the character no longer switches from lane to lane. Am I understanding you correctly? So you are doing in a zone where you have to swipe left or right to change into like 3 lanes, for example. But when a corner happens, you have to swipe to turn as well. Because most games that do that lane switching don't do turner corners. Like if you look at the Crash Bandicoot one, you just get into the correct lane to turn the corner. You wouldn't necessarily be a swipe, because I think the trick that you're having is your swipes doing 2 different things based on which situation they're in. But it's hard to visualize. He always goes back to the corner location of the corner. I'm not entirely certain what you mean by location of the corner. Yeah. Would you make a tutorial series about procedural generation? Maybe. It's not a straightforward thing, as I say, because it involves a lot of heavy coding to be done well. Never say never, but no idea when. Chris, I do have a question. How do you make it to where the camera stays behind the character when loading from another level or loading game? So let me get it straight. What you're trying to do. So you want it so, like, at the moment, this is freeform camera. Let's say I walk up this slope, goes to another level, and if I come up here like this, you want the camera to reset back behind them, like this. If that's the case, this camera rotation you're seeing here is the control rotation. So you can set the rotation, set the rotation of the control rotation to the same as the player, and it'll be fine. It'll go back to them. If that's what you're trying to do. Yeah, it's just you type in the control rotation, and to move it around. Question, can you make a queue that when the first array element finishes being in the queue, it's added to the rear? Yeah. So we'll do it on here. We'll do a little test system as well to show this off. Okay, so let's make an array of numbers, for example. Array num. And we'll do int. And we'll keep it simple. Okay, so I'm going to add to this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What I want to do is I want to make a function that enqueues and dequeues it. Okay. So let's say shift queue, we'll call it. What you can do is take the array number, get 0, which is the first index. Okay, so at the front of the queue, front of the line. We then want to store that as a local variable. And you then going to remove it from that array. So remove index 0. And then you're going to add it to the array. And you're going to add the new local var. That's it. So when the array number is, we have to store it locally because we have to remember what the hell we got rid of. When we take it out of 0, everything just shifts along 1. So then when you add it back on, it goes on to the end. So let's do that. Let's print out the array here. So get array, and we'll do a for each loop, and we'll do print string that number. Okay, so it'll print out the order of the numbers each time I push it. Okay, so let's do, I push the 1 key, we'll call shift Q, pressed, compile, and that should now work. So I pushed it twice by accident. So 3, 2, 1, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, 4, 3. So you see the 4 goes to the top now. Then 1 will go to the top. Then 2 will go to the top. Then 3 will go to the top. There you go. That's it. Lottie, how might you go about making an AI that runs away from the player like a game of tag? I've tried, but always seemed janky. Yeah, sure. Okay. So let's make a quick AI. So put nav mesh bounds volume in. Make sure it's covering the map. Okay. But when 0 gets to 4, you want it to finish. Then, hang on. So you don't, right, so you don't want it to go back onto the end of the queue then. You just want it to get to when that number 4 got to the bottom, you want it to not keep going. We just don't add it back on. Just don't do that. If I skip that, for example, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 4, nothing. Nothing. Just don't add it back on. Right, AI. Let's do a quick AI character. Many. Bring that down here, down around here. No problem, Boba. And I'm going to get him to run a behavior tree. Ooh. BT. And in here we do a selector into a sequence. Okay, so to get an AI to run away from you, the best thing to do is with a EQS system. So you do that by going into AI, going environment query, and we'll do hide, we'll call it. And this needs to have a generation of points. So you do a grid of points, for example, and you can set the size of the grid. So I usually do 1,000, for example. And this generates points all around the user. Now, to help me test this out and show you what it's doing, I'm going to use what we call an EQS testing pawn. So just search for in here, EQS testing pawn. It's just a default thing that you can bring in that just allows you to test EQS queries. So I'm going to go down here, set my hide query. Okay, so there's the EQS testing points. Okay, 100 probably a bit too much. Let's I'm going to turn that up, that space between the 200. There you go. Okay, so you're generating these points, and he's going to score these points based on how well they work for the player, for the NPC. So in here, oh, not that one. Keep doing that. In here, we want to generate scores based upon how close they are to the player, and so things like that. So for that, we need a context for the player. You'll see around here we've got contexts. By default, you only have two. You have the querier and the item, but not the player. So we'll just do that quickly. Go into Blueprint class, search for env query context Blueprint base, and no. And we'll do context player. And all you're going to do in here is just put in the functions provide single actor, resulting actor is get player character. The problem though with this is that this will only work in game. You can't test this out that easily. So bear that in mind. So right now you're not going to see any difference in the world. You're not going to see any of these change because it can't find that context, because it won't exist until you play the game. But for now, we'll do it that. But whilst we're testing and showing this off, I'm going to do get actor of class and choose a player start and put that in there instead. Okay, I'll just switch it back when I'm ready to play it. But now it's going to use as player start as its reference point. So in my EQS for hide, we can add test to this. We can right click, add test, distance. And on the distance one, we can go over here, we go filter and score. I'm going to change the score only. And the distance 2, I'm going to change that to my context to player. Now, you'll see it gets scored based on how close it is to the player start. So the further away it is, the higher the score by default. The ones that are closer get closer to 0. Okay, so it's more likely to pick one that's further away. But for him to actually hide from us and run away from hide, we want to pick a space that we can't see as well. So we go into here, and we're going to add a trace. Be a trace, and that'll be a filter. We're going to cut out ones we don't want. And we want to change the context here to be the player. And we'll say... whoops. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So now it's only keeping the ones... Blue means it's been filtered out. So it's only keeping the ones that I can't technically see from the player start position here. But the problem that you have with this is that these points are generated too low. They're on the floor. So like here, for example, it's not really a good hiding spot. Even though directly there's no link, like trace to that point, it's still too low. So we need to make it rise it up a little bit so it's closer to the height of a character. And you do that in the hide by going to the generator and changing the projection data here to have a vertical offset. And we'll change it to 100, for example. So now they're up in the air. Now this one is no longer valid because it can see the player start. Whereas round the ones round here, it can't. So it'll pick those ones. So this looks like it'll be the winner. Okay. And that'll do for now. There's more stuff you can do. I've got videos on EQS stuff. You're more than welcome to check it out. But I'm going to tell my AI character to run and hide from the player. So I'm going to go to the behavior tree. I'm going to do run EQS query. And we're going to do hide. And we'll put into a key. I need a blackboard. Whoops. New blackboard. Yeah, sure. Vector. Not do anything fancy. I'm just going to do that. And set that to vector key. And so this can pick a single best item or random one. I usually like to pick a random one just in case. Gives a bit more randomness. And that'll tell us to move to that point. So do vector key. Okay. So if I tell him to use that, begin play, get his AI controller. Controlled actor is self. Oops. Self. Turn value, run behavior tree. And BT. And that's it. So, let's change the context back. Context player. Like so. Okay. Hopefully I've actually put him in a level. His animations will be a bit broken, but that's fine. So you can see he's going to run and hide from me. And if I go after him, yeah, he always pick the furthest one away at the moment. But if I wanted him to pick one that's close to him and furthest away from me, I just go back to that hide test over here, add another distance test, but this will be the distance to the querier, and we'll make it flip it so it's the other way around. So let's score this one and flip it around. So do in linear to inverse linear. So now he'll pick ones that are furthest from him, but furthest from me, but closest to him, that are still valid. So it will now run and hide. Okay. There you go. EQS, really powerful, really cool tool. Red Fog SX. Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I have add impulse in pawn as player 2. It detects it, but it is not doing anything. I refresh my. How to add impulse to pawn so player 2 in split screen can use it too? Huh? How to add impulse boost to the pawn so player 2 in split screen can use it too? Um. Can you try and rephrase your question, Red? Sorry, not understanding too well. Boba, what you can do, if you wanted it to loop this a number of times, just do for loop. And you want to take the last index of that array num. Will be last index. That goes in there. So if you've got 4 items in there, it'll go through 4 times. And for each of the 4 times, it's going to take the first one, get it, remove it, and then print it. In this case, it'll print it. Let's take that out, actually. Just going to add confusion to it. And this one. It'll remove it and so forth and put it back in. And you can do whatever you want with it back then. But if you want it to keep the original array back, so by the time it gets round to it, it will get back to its original state. Just promote that to a local variable and just do it on a local. So it does it on that one. And then do the local variable on that. So local variable, you get this. And then new location, and then new local file, remove index, but it's only affecting the local one. So the original one's still the same, hasn't changed at all. But it's going to go through each item and do those. So for example, if I just do print and just do this get here, so get 0, for example, will always return the first item. So we should get 4 numbers coming out of this. New local file. What have I done? Let me just name it again. Local array. Why is that doing that on? Uses invalid target. What? Why is it not liking that? Local array. Yeah. Oh, when I get local array uses an invalid target. Wait a minute, that is not permanently. It is, it's there. What? It's happy with it there, so why is it not happy with it here? Yeah, try refreshing node. Oh, there you go, whatever. Yeah, refreshing node. Yeah, weird. Okay, yeah, so that'll print out the first 4 items of that list. So if I push 1, get 2340, 2340, 2340, so on and so forth. So going on what Matt's suggesting about using a do once node, you can't do a do once node inside a function. It won't work, or do n, because the function gets basically refreshed every time you call it. So do once will happen, but then it'll just go through again and again and again. So it won't actually work. So you can't do it with a do once or do n. You can do it as an event and make it do n and do once if you want. You can definitely do that. if you like. But yeah, it depends on what, I don't know what the end outcome is trying to be, but there you go. There's a way of doing it without using a do end or do once. Bum 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 bum. Next question. How do you destroy an AI controller at runtime? It's the same as anything else, really. You, like on here, for example, you just get the AI controller and then destroy actor. That's it. I don't know why you want to destroy the AI controller, though. If you want to stop the AI, you just unpossess it. If you want, like, you just do unpossess and it'll stop the AI from doing anything. But you can just destroy the actor from the AI controller. Same thing as that. If you want AI controller to stop the behavior tree, you get the AI controller, get the brain component, and set to stop logic. And that's how you get to stop a behavior tree. Okay, so it's still running AI, it's just not doing anything. So yeah, they've got a few things you could do there. I don't know what exactly do that. Thank you for the donation, Kyle. Been trying to add impulse to a geometry collection based on an overlap event triggered by another. However, I've hit a dead end. Any ideas? Been add impulse to a geometry collection based on an overlap event triggered by another actor. Silly question, but have you simulated physics? It's one of those things where there's a number of problems that could be. So if you tried simulating physics, that could be why the geometry collection won't do anything, or whilst yeah. What else could it be? Make sure the impulse is high enough. I've made a mistake before. Impulse has to be quite high to offset for the mass of the object that you're hitting. So have you tried extreme values, like I'm talking about like 10, maybe 100,000, and see if it goes nuts? Yeah. Don't know. It should just work. Went to 50 million. Okay. Right. I'll try and create a simple chaos thing. You tell me if you do something a bit different than what I'm about to do. Okay. So I'm gonna get rid of this AI thing because it's getting annoying. Right. Let's add a basic shape to this thing. Just factor it. Why can't I? Oh, there you go. Yeah. Factor, push, and we'll do another one. There you go. Got 2 levels. Take that. Okay. Right. So if I put in, I don't know. Let's make my character, when I hit something, just apply impulse to it. Save time. Hit. Impulse. Oh, whoops. Other component. Impulse. Add impulse at location. Location. It's this one. Impulse. I'm gonna get the mass of my character. So get mass of the mesh, sure. Multiply that by the vector. No, don't do that. Sake. Vector. There we go. And we'll just do that in there. Add another float. By another float. And let's try, yeah, 50,000. Start with that. Simulation, generate hit events. Tick that on. That should be enough. Oh, too much. Oh. Been a while since I looked at chaos. Need to do it. Need to get back into it. See, you can add impulse like that just fine. I don't know why it's having trouble with this. Why is it having trouble with this? Oh, it's because I'm hitting the floor. That's why it's doing that. Hold on. Let's just make sure you can do it to things that simulate physics. Is simulate physics. Let's turn it down again to make 5,000. So not enough now. Oh, that went off. Why isn't it not doing it now? Simulate physics? Yeah, should do. It is simulate physics, so why the hell is it not doing that? Yeah, simulate physics. Interesting. Yeah, Kyle, if you're able to share it, I'll take a look after the stream. I don't know why that's not working now. I mean, ideally you should set up all the fields and stuff on it too. I ain't done all that. For time's sake, it's not going to bother. Yeah. Anyway, we'll write about that another time. But yeah, send us your thing and I'll take a look at what you've done. It's add impulse boost and then I added a breakpoint, and a breakpoint is detected, but there is no boost at all for player 2 in split screen. Does it need in player state maybe, or player controller instead? I mean, if it's split screen, it should just work. So are you saying in split screen it's working for one player but not the other? Because it should just render both and be the same. You don't have to replicate it or anything like that. How can I add a countdown works when a player exits the game? Do you mean, like, what do you mean by countdown? Do you want a countdown and then exits, or it exits and it counts how long you were away for? Is that what you mean? I'm not entirely certain what part you're talking about. Okay, so it's working on. Okay, let's. How can I test this out? Right. Okay. Hang on. Let's make it so I can bump into these things and add an impulse to this. Turn it down a bit though. 1,000. This is too much. Still too much. We'll make it also do this. 100. Or just do one. I don't need a massive impulse, just need to be able to kick it about. Okay, so you're saying if I go in split screen, I'm not going to see that happen. Okay, let's take a look. I thought it would. Project settings. Oh, I can't remember where this thing is. No, hang on, let me search for it. I can't remember what the damn thing is. Use split screen. Oh, so you turned on. Okay. No, there's something else you have to do, wasn't there? Or am I going mad? Number of players, 2. Yeah, and I'm getting 2 viewports. Maps and modes. Use split screen. There we go. Okay, right. We'll rather than do 2 like that. Sorry, we do. I remember now what we'll do. Game mode here. Begin play. Player. No, what is it? Can't remember what it's called now. Player. Create local player. There we go. Right. There we go. So if I go into this screen, I need to make it save messing about with all the inputs and stuff. I just did. Yeah, works. Add impulse, no problem. So it should do because it's using the same thing. Although I'm doing it with a hit, and so maybe let's make it. Hang on, let's not make it with a hit. Because they're technically still hitting. Let's try something else. God, what can I do? Give boost to the pawn. Okay. Oh. Right. Boosting the pawn. You're trying to make the pawn move with the impulse. If that's the case, don't do that. Because... Right, okay, hang on. You don't do impulse, like... So, for example, if I did my 1 key here, delete this one. Do that. If I did this and target is capsule, for example, that is not how you would want to do what you're trying to do. Let me just, I don't know. Let me just do 1, 1, 1. Oh. See, nothing happens here at all. Yeah. Because the character doesn't simulate physics straight away. So what are you actually trying to do, Red Fox? Because the character can't do that. If you want to launch them forwards, then use launch character instead. What can you explain what game you're trying to do, Red? Or what kind of mechanic you're trying to make? Oh, it's a nitro boost. Oh, well, it's not impulse. You just increase the speed. It's just like sprinting in a third-person game. You just increase the speed of the vehicle. That's all. It's not a boost or anything like that. Just grab your vehicle. I haven't got it enabled on here, so grab your vehicle component and just change the max speed for a certain amount of time. That's all. Don't use add impulses. You're not going to get what you expect from it. Add impulse is a physics engine thing, so you're going to just launch this thing out. Don't do that. Just change the speed of the pawn. That's what you're doing with nitro boost type thing. Yeah, you can ask another question. Let's look around for other questions while we're waiting for that. So Decima Dev, how can I add a countdown works with player exit game? Like the fuel system in some racing games. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you referring to red there? About the countdown, like the fuel system in some racing games. You want just to count down the number? Okay. So, I mean, I'm not entirely certain what you mean, but if you want to do a countdown, it's just a timer. Set timer by event or whatever. I'll tell mine to exit the game. So quit game. Over 10 seconds. Okay. Just promote that to a variable, this thing. So you have the timer as a variable. And then on your UI or your whatever you want to do, you'd have your event and or your timer or whatever you're trying to do, tick event. You want it to print out this, for example, you just do print out the time elapsed or time remaining. We'll do countdown, time remaining. I'll put that now. And yeah, there you go. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like that. So you should, as long as you've got the reference to where is it? As long as you've got the reference to the timer, you can get the time remaining. You also get a time elapsed. So if you want to do a count up, you can do that too. Any news on the game jam? The game jam, no solid news, but it is happening, definitely happening. And it'll be happening over the Easter weekend, probably. Full details as soon as I can finish the marketing bits of it. So I've got to set up, I've set up the page for it. I've got to set up like images and marketing things for it. But once it's done, it'll be up and I'll share it to everyone. It'll be this week. You'll get it this week. Maybe tomorrow. I'll try and do it tomorrow. But it's mostly done. It's mostly there, so it shouldn't be too bad. Oh, Bobby. Another question. How can I make a material that blends with its surroundings? We haven't got enough time to go through it now, but Google virtual textures. That'll help you with that. How to let the vehicle move on the nav mesh? You're trying to do like AI cars, for example. As far as I know, there's no built-in way of doing it. You have to do it manually. So I started messing about with this system a while ago, trying to make my own AI car thing, like a little kart racer. So if I make progress on that, I could tell you. But basically, what I've got it doing currently so far is it's doing a load of detections based on its velocity, and so it can know when to slow down and when to turn and things like that. Got it kind of working. It's not very good at tight corners though. So still working on it. But as soon as I've figured it out, I'll make a video series on it because it's quite cool. To make it like a kart racer type thing. Pardon me. Cross corner. I want to know how can I approach mobile game publishers, and also want to know about minimum guarantee. I Minimum guarantee? What do you mean by minimum guarantee? Yeah, it would be like so. Yeah, so Red Fox. The way I've done it so far is using a spline method. But I say I'll share it once I figure it out. But it's not a nav mesh. It's a spline. Hi Ryan, when will we upload the next Quest series video? Also, where do you call the objective update function when transferring items from a chest, but before accepting a quest? That's coming. That's if you're a Patreon, you've already got it, or you're about to get it. I can't remember now. But it's uploaded. The Quest series is pretty much done for patrons. It's just got to film one episode of that, and it's done, and they can have the project files as well. And the next episode on public YouTube would probably be next week. And how can you approach mobile game publishers? Honestly, I'm not too certain. You'd have to find a list of them and contact them. Like you email them and phone them up, or whatever. Some of them will take requests, some of them don't. Not many publishers, like the big ones you're thinking of, like don't take on external projects. They only do their own internal ones. But it depends what you want from a publisher. Think about what you want from a publisher first, and you can probably just publish your own game if you want. Would a note inventory work with your new inventory series? Kind of, yeah. You could kind of work, yeah. The game jam is going to be held over the Easter weekend. I say full details probably be tomorrow. But there we go. We have to end it eventually at some point. So we'll say that's the end of tonight's question time. Thank you so much for your questions. And thank you for your support and subscribing to the channel. If you want to support the channel further, please consider signing up to Patreon. From $1, you can get access to all the Quest series, more survival series, UE5 C++ stuff, all sorts of things coming out for that. And stay tuned. There are going to be some big announcements coming out soon for the channel. So stay tuned for that in the coming weeks, month, whatever it is. And obviously the Game Jam news is coming out hopefully tomorrow. So thank you again everyone for joining me tonight. This weekend we're back live for a live stream of my Project Mimic. If so, you want to see me working on my sci-fi horror game, multiplayer horror game, come by on Saturday and check out its progress so far. It's starting to shape up quite nicely. We've got some nice graphics in there, animations we're working on at the moment. So it's getting there. It's getting there. So come by and yeah, see me figure it out. So thank you very much everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Good night everyone. Bye bye.